The Mentor Network, we are located out of Boston. It's a health and human services company. We have 28,000 employees in 34 states and approximately 2,500 locations. We're made up of 4 operating groups that provide services for individuals with developmental disorders, behavioral disorders. We have programs for at-risk youth. We also recruit, train, and support foster parents. And we have 2 operating groups that provide services for individuals recovering from brain and spinal cord injuries. Well, I've been with the Mentor Network about 2.5 years, and when I first took over the procurement department, I did an assessment of the entire organization and identified that our current purchase order transaction system was not going to fulfill our future needs. It wasn't scalable. There were a lot of problems. Our current ERP product was network-based, and a lot of our locations were not on the network, so they didn't have any access to it. It was very expensive from a licensing standpoint and support standpoint. It was difficult to use, difficult to find items. There was long lead times to add catalogs, do any changes, as we had to engage IT and get into the workflow line. What I needed to do is stop having my staff spend all their time dealing with problems of the old system, reduce our reliance on IT, and wanted a system that was very intuitive for people to use. We wouldn't have to provide as much training and support because they could figure it out on their own. So I went out, researched the industry, all the providers of P2P solutions, compared them against each other, and wound up selecting Zycus, basically because they had what I considered probably the best application that was ease of use. Just looking at the platform and looking through a demo, you could see that anybody who's been on the internet and ordered anything, anyone who's done a web search, could easily figure out how to place an order without having to go through a formal training. When looking at the industry for P2P solutions, Zycus appealed to me because it was, a relatively new product. We could have input into, how the product develops, additional features and functionality, which we've recommended. And right now, Zycus has developed and implemented over 30 enhancements to the platform. But being an early adopter, it gives the opportunity for us to not so much copy what other people have, but to be able to provide feedback and design a system that's flexible enough to manage those non-standard commodities, such as utilities, landscaping, construction services, which in a typical ERP system could tend to be, you have to kind of work around the process versus having a specific process customized to that type of order. Being one of the early adopters, had what was very positive from my perspective was having the ability to have input into how the system develops and how it matures over time. Zycus has a similar goal as Procurement does, and that's to make sure that the application is the best application for each individual customer, and for us, the application is best for the Mentor Network. But also there's a true willingness to want to see us succeed. And also, if there's a deliverable that's due and a date to deliver it, it's always delivered on time. I think what I'm very impressed at is the level of responsiveness. Zycus people are always positive, always upbeat. If there's a suggestion or an enhancement that can be viewed as something that would make the product better, they're more than willing to go ahead and invest the resources to be able to make that happen. Well, particularly for the Mentor Network, we have thousands of P cards out in the field that people had to use to get their goods and services because they weren't able to connect to our ERP system. So what the P2P application, being a cloud-based application, what it's going to allow us to do is to be able to offer this product to anyone in the company. They can be able to place orders either at work, they can get on their home computer, all they need is internet access. And it's going to, for procurement, it's going to provide us with a lot of the clean data that we need to be able to do some spend analytics without having to spend 3/4 of the time on the task just cleaning the data so you can actually look at it to identify savings opportunities.